There is no red, white, or blue in this country. The only color that matters is green because we live in the United Corporations of America.
Bum, bum, ba-da. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Status Coup. The date is Tuesday, May 13th in this year of our Lord 2025. My name is Ron Placone. I'm your host today. Jordan Cheriton is still he's doing some daddy time. He's being a dad. They just welcomed their second child into the world. So congratulations again to Jordan and his family. So he's taking a little bit of family time, which is awesome. It's awesome for them welcoming a new member to their family, and it's very awesome for me to be able to see you guys on Tuesday. Good to see you. Hope you are well. Let me give a quick shout out to some people. Hello, Carl. Hello, Teresa. Hello, Denise. And I can't really see much here, but hello, Chris. I'll just say hello to what's up, Jay? Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, I'll just say whatever. Hello, Teresa. How are you? Guys, smash the like button. Oh, wrong way. Smash, just you get it. Smash the like button. You get it. Smash it. Let's go through what we're gonna be talking about today. So, first of all, Trump issued a statement about drug prices and how he's gonna lower them. Is that gonna all add up, though? We're gonna talk about it and kind of go through that. Also, RFK sure is a gross guy. We're gonna go through some of that. Also, the DNC, the Democrats, doing everything they can to lose indefinitely. It's just there will never be an institution better at snapping defeat from the jaws of victory than the Democratic Party, and they're still doing it. They're still doing it. We're going to talk about an update there with David Hogg, and we're going to be talking about the murder of a journalist, a Palestinian journalist in Israel, and also we're going to be talking about streamers. Some top streamers out there might not be the best time for them to be traveling out of the country. We're going to break down some of that. So it is a weird, wild time in the world, y'all. Smash the like button, get ready, buckle in. We're going to start with let's go ahead and start with the drug prices, Colin. Let's go ahead and start with that. And can we pull up the Truth Social post? I want to just start with the post itself and take it from there. Okay, so check this out. Now, this is one of those things where, oh man, he had me in the first half for a second, and then you read on and you're like, oh, I don't know. For many years, the world has wondered why prescription drugs and pharmaceuticals in the United States of America were so much higher in price than they were in any other nation, sometimes being 5 to 10 times more expensive than the same drug, manufactured in the same laboratory or plant by the same company. Question mark, question marks, question mark. It was always difficult to explain and it's actually not that difficult, but we'll get into that in a second. Let's see what his reason is. It was always difficult to explain and very embarrassing because, in fact, there was no correct or rightful answer. The pharmaceutical drug companies would say for years that it was research and development costs and that all these costs were and would be, for no reason whatsoever, borne by the suckers, quote, of America alone. Campaign contributions can do wonders, but not with me and not with the Republican Party. We are going to do the right thing, something that Democrats have fought for many years. Therefore, I am pleased to announce that. Do we have the rest of it? Because he goes on to say, okay, here we go. Tomorrow morning in the White House, this was a couple days ago, I will be signing one of the most consequential executive orders in our country's history. Prescription drug and pharmaceutical prices will be reduced almost immediately by 30 to 80%. They will rise throughout the world. Okay, so here's where he starts to lose me because this is not realistic at all. They will rise throughout the world in order to equalize and for the first time in many years bring fairness to America. I will be instituting a most favored nations policy whereby the United States will pay the same price as the nation that pays the lowest price anywhere in the world. our country will finally be treated fairly, and our citizens' healthcare costs will be reduced by numbers never even thought of before. Additionally, on top of everything else, the United States will save trillions of dollars. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again, says Donald Trump. Okay, so in the first part, hey, we do pay more for prescription drugs than pretty much any industrialized nation. That it would be awesome if that changes. They should lower it. I don't care who does it. If it's Trump, I don't care. All right. But then he goes on to go, oh, and it's so what's going to happen is other countries are going to pay more. Wait a second. That's how are you going to do such a thing? That makes no sense. That's not why our prescription drugs are high, y'all. The reason why our prescription drugs are high, which is it's not some wild mystery why they're high. The reason they're high is because one, we have a profit center for a healthcare industry. So we don't have anybody in our corner negotiating drug prices. Now, in other industrialized nation where they have universal healthcare, the government typically is the middle person between consumers and prescription drugs so they can get lower prices. Also, we have a completely, our industry, our pharmaceutical industry here in the United States has no consumer protections whatsoever. What does that mean? Well, that means that pharmaceutical companies can engage in deceptive practices to keep their drugs as high as they can in terms of price. Give me an example of that, Ron. Okay, here's something. It's called evergreening. What is that? So, one of the reasons that drug prices can be high for at least a partial period of time is because they will patent their drugs. Like, say they have a recipe for a medication or whatever, they'll patent that. And that means nobody else can make it. There can't be any generic versions of it or anything like that. Or there are very tight rules as to any generics entering the market. And then eventually, for the sake of medicine being available to everyone and for the sake of supply and what have you, that patent will go away or at least become a little more flexible and generics can enter the market. Here in the United States, they have practices that they can do that will allow them to extend their patents indefinitely. One of these practices is evergreening. Let's say they have this great medicine and it's working real well and their patent's about to expire, but they don't want to share. They'll just change the color of a pill or add in more of some, inactive ingredient. Basically do something that technically changes the recipe, but it doesn't really change it, but it's just enough of a change that they can do a patent again, and then no generics can enter the market. So that's really what big pharma is. That's really what it's all about. It's about deceptive practices like that. Keep in mind, big pharma is not a medical degree. Big pharma is not a science degree. Big pharma is a business degree. That's what big pharma really is. Big pharma is not the EpiPen. Big pharma is the reason the EpiPen costs $600. That's what's really going on here. So that's why our drug prices are so high. We don't have anybody advocating for us to keep prices low. We don't have any checks and balances as far as generics entering the market. So our prescription drugs are way higher than every other industrialized nation. That's what's really going on. Okay? So the whole Trump, so let's go to the AP article. So let's see, is Trump really doing the work here to actually do something here? Trump signs executive order setting 30-day deadline for drug makers to lower prescription costs. President Donald Trump on Monday signed a sweeping executive order setting a 30-day deadline for drug makers to effectively lower the cost of prescription drugs in the U.S. or face new limits down the road over what the government will pay. The order calls on the health department, led by RFK. That should just give you pause. The health department is led by we have an RFK story coming up here later in the hour, but it should give you pause every day where you wake up and you realize that our health department is led by a eugenicist who was born with every advantage in the world and managed to give himself mercury poisoning, managed to get a worm in his brain, and was a heroin addict for years and years and years, and has made a career peddling debunked pseudoscience. did some good work in the legal space at one point in time, did some cool work in the legal space. Then for some reason, that wasn't enough for the guy. He's also a warmonger and a right-wing Democrat who never missed an opportunity to endorse a Clinton until now, where he's just straight up MAGA. Because basically, he was going to do anything he could for his 15 minutes in the spotlight. That guy's in charge of health. It should give you pause every freaking day. All right, so to broker a new price tag for drugs over the next month. If deals are not reached, Kennedy will be tasked. Oh, good. Kennedy will be tasked with developing a new rule that ties the price the U.S. pays for medications to lower prices paid by other countries. Okay, well, you better let the frickin' pharmaceutical companies know this, because they're the ones that manage to keep the prices high. We're going to equalize, Trump said during a Monday morning press conference. We're all going to pay the same. We're going to pay what Europe pays. It's unclear what, if any, impact the Republican president's executive order will have on millions of Americans who have private health insurance. The federal government has the most power to shape the price it pays for drugs covered by Medicare and Medicaid. So basically, if you have private insurance, which is most Americans, because they have to, the government can't really do much here. Trump's promised new but uncertain savings on drug prices just hours after the Republican-led House released its plan to trim $880 billion from Medicaid. So taxpayers spend hundreds of billions of dollars on prescription drugs, injectable transfusions, and other medications every year through Medicare, which covers nearly 70 million older Americans. Medicaid, which provides nearly free health care for almost 80 million poor and disabled people in the U.S., also spends tens of billions of dollars each year for drugs. So yeah, you can get okay health care in the United States. You just have to either be at the point where you qualify for Medicaid, or you just need to live long enough to get Medicare. The nation's pharmaceutical lobby, which represents the top U.S. drug makers, immediately pushed back, calling it a bad deal for American patients. Drug makers have long argued that any threats to their profits could impact the research they do. Don't threaten our profits, or that we can't do research anymore. Importing foreign prices from socialist countries would be a bad deal for American patients and workers. Why is that? Why is that they pay less for the same drugs? I notice you're not saying that the drugs are different or worse. You're just saying it would be a bad deal for Americans. It would mean less treatments and cures and would jeopardize the hundreds of billions of our member companies are planning to invest in America. No, it would cut into your profit margins. By the way, notice this was a statement from a CEO of pharma, not a doctor, not a scientist, not a biomedical engineer, a CEO. That tells you everything. Trump's so-called most favored nation approach to Medicare drug pricing has been controversial since he tried to implement it in his first term. He signed a similar executive order in the final weeks of his presidency, which called for the U.S. to only pay a lower price that other countries pay for some drugs. That narrow executive order faced hurdles with a court order that blocked the rule from going into effect under Joe Biden's administration. The pharmaceutical industry argued that Trump's 2020 attempt would give foreign governments the upper hand. This is so ridiculous. Now, here's the interesting part. Here's where, I mean, obviously, the pharmaceutical companies are the bad guys in this, which might make you think, well, gee, maybe Trump's a good guy. No, because here's the deal. Here's the kicker, y'all. Trump repeatedly defended pharmaceutical companies, instead blaming other countries for the high price Americans pay for drugs. That makes absolutely zero sense. That makes no sense. That's basically saying, hey, they have a system that's less corrupt than ours, so it's their fault that we pay higher prices. They pay what they should for prescription drugs because they don't have the same corruption in big pharma that we have, nowhere near the amount. So they pay reasonable prices for medicines that they need because it's civilized to have a universal healthcare system, and it's civilized to not allow a complete profit system out of your pharmaceutical industry. So they pay what they're supposed to, and it's their fault. It's their fault for that. So the U.S. has to pay what they pay, which, by the way, I'm all for that. I would love it if we paid the same price as Canada or Mexico or countries in the EU. I would love that. Here's the deal, though. The problem is not that they're paying low prices. The problem is the structures we have here that keep our prices high. i.e., we don't have universal health care, so nobody can negotiate on our behalf, i.e., we made a private profit center out of our insurance industry and have these for-profit middlemen, i.e., the pharmaceutical industry can engage in evergreening and other practices to keep generics out of the market and keep prices high. I mean, that's why we have these problems. And some of you say this is kind of confusing. It's confusing because what Trump is saying makes no sense. He basically just took an actual real issue and just inserted a bunch of xenophobic nonsense that has nothing to do with why we pay high drug prices. That's what's going on here. That's what's going on. So there you have it. There you have it. Let's go to, I think there's another piece to this. Let's go to the Reuters piece. Make sure we covered all the ground on this one. So Trump executive demands pharma industry price cuts. Except it technically doesn't really do that, but yeah. U.S. President Donald Trump signed a wide-reaching executive order on Monday directing the drug makers to lower the prices to their medicines to align with what other countries pay. An analysis and legal experts say this will be difficult to implement. We're going to go ahead and scroll down here. Trump told a press conference that the government would impose tariffs. Jesus Christ. That's just this new thing. I still stand by my theory from last week. He recently found out what tariffs were. He found out what tariffs were a couple months ago. So now he just uses it as a solution for everything. Hey, there's people protesting outside. Let's impose tariffs. Hey, there's war all over the world. Let's impose tariffs. On who? I don't know. Penguins. Hey, we got this. Melania's miserable. Let's impose tariffs. Like, it's just his solution for, hey, Trump, you lost your hand at blackjack. I'm imposing tariffs on everybody else's cards. It's ridiculous. So Trump told a press conference the government would impose tariffs if the prices in the U.S. did not match those in other countries, and said he was seeking cuts of between 59 and 90%. Everybody should equalize. Everybody should pay the same price. The United States pays the highest prices for prescription drugs, often nearly 3 times more than other developed nations. Trump tried in his first term to bring the U.S. in line with other countries, but was blocked by the courts. Because again, the courts, they'll side with, they'll still side with Big Pharma. Even if Trump's way of getting somewhere is completely ridiculous, that doesn't actually confront Big Pharma. Trump's drug pricing proposal comes as the president has sought to fulfill a campaign promise of tackling inflation and lowering prices for a host of everyday items for Americans, from eggs to gas for their cars. He has done none of those things. Trump said his order on drug prices was partly a result of a conversation with an unnamed friend who told the president he got a weight loss injection for $88 in London. That same medicine in the U.S. cost $1,300. If drug makers do not meet the government's expectations, it will use rulemaking to bring drug prices to international levels and consider a range of other measures, including importing medicines from other developed nations and implementing export restrictions. Trump's order directs the government to consider facilitating direct-to-consumer purchasing programs that would sell drugs at the prices other countries pay. Trade groups representing biotech and pharmaceutical companies decried the move. So here's that other epic quote from the pharma CEO here. Look, if this works, I'll be thrilled. I mean, I would love to see this happen, but this just does not seem like I don't think he can actually do this. I think he's going about this the wrong way. If he really wanted to confront the pharmaceutical industry, he would rein in the type of things they're able to do to price gouge us, and we would have universal health care. He would push for Medicare for all, because then they could negotiate with for lower drug prices. If he just has it so that they can import more drugs in, that's great. But if you're going to slap them with tariffs, well, that's going to be passed on to the American consumer anyway. So you see how everything he's proposing is speaking out of both sides of the mouth. That's what's happening. Because he's making a promise that he technically can't keep, and he's also proposing contradictory things. Hey, we're going to bring in more drugs from other countries. Oh, except we're going to slap everything with tariffs. Well, how does that doesn't add up. That's like saying we're going to get a bunch of water and then we're going to fight it with fire. Then we're going to get more water. Then we're going to fight it with fire. Then we're going to get more water. Then we're going to fight it with fire. What's actually going to happen? Nothing. Man. So we'll see what happens here. We will see what happens, but do not get your hopes up for lower drug prices. If something happens for the positive, I'll be all about it. If somehow something happens where we pay the same prices they do in EU countries and in Canada for our prescription drugs, I will be thrilled. I don't care how we get there. If Trump does maneuver something that the courts can't do anything about, and it doesn't F over we the people, that's great. I don't see how this plan can be that thing. It just strategically, like, it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense the way it stands right now. And also, I don't think this guy has any interest in actually confronting the problem, because if he did, he would actually blame Big Pharma, not other countries, because other countries are not the reason we pay high drug prices. I'll repeat that. Other countries are not the reason we pay high drug prices. They just pay what they're supposed to because they don't have all the corrupt stuff in their country that we do. Largely because they have universal health care, something Donald Trump doesn't support. All right. So we'll keep an eye on it. Don't get your hopes up. That's the summary there. Let's go to the RFK story. This is we'll stay on the administration here. So I am no fan of RFK for a large list of reasons. We talked about it pretty extensively, but I'm not a big fan of the guy. I think he is dangerous. I think he is a eugenicist. You listen to the stuff he says, it is eugenicism. The idea of putting autistic people on a list, the idea of sending autistic and ADHD people to camps, the pseudoscience that he promotes constantly. He has time and time again demonstrated that he does not understand studies that he cites. And, going beyond health stuff, the guy's a warmonger. The guy is a right winger. And for some reason, there's some people that are fooled by him still, which blows my freaking mind. But here's something he did over the weekend. Let's go to the People article, Colin. Here's something that this guy did. By the way, one of the richest, so the Kennedy dynasty has a level of wealth that you and I can only imagine. That I mean, just every advantage, every amount. That's why when you listen to RFK's stories, all of his stories are basically just, I never had any consequences in my life, so here's a goofy thing I did. Hey, I'm going to put a bear in my car and drive around with it because I don't have any consequences in my life. I'm going to eat this dog because I don't have any consequences in my life. I'm going to have any and all affairs I want to have. I'm going to drive my wife to the point of suicide because I don't have any consequences in my life. That's RFK. All right, so let's go to this piece. Here's what he did recently. This guy's in charge of health. The guy in charge of health. RFK Jr. swims in sewage-tainted creek with his grandchildren, despite the National Park Service bacteria warning. Look at this. He looks like a sea creature. RFK swam in a creek in Washington, D.C. that has been deemed unsafe due to its high levels of bacteria. Kennedy, the Health and Human Services Secretary, that should give you pause, took his young grandchildren along for the swim and posted photos of them by the water with him. RFK Jr. plunged into a creek deemed a hazard to human health as part of his Mother's Day celebrations on Sunday, May 11th. The Department of Health and Human Services Secretary, who's 71 years old, posted photos of of himself and his family at the Rock Creek Park in Washington, D.C. In one of the images, Kennedy is fully submerged with his head underwater. In another, he holds one of his grandchildren as the child's feet dip into the creek. The National Park Service banned swimming and wading in the creek due to high bacteria levels in the water. By the way, just so we're clear, to get that qualification, there's more pictures. So let's see, are any of the... Yeah, and it looks like some of the children are basically... It doesn't look like... So in all these pictures, it doesn't look like any of the children are actually in the water. Which I think, yeah, they're kind of standing... Which begs the question, are they smarter than their frickin' grandfather? Now it looks like he's pulling them into the water there. Are they literally able to be like, hey, Grandpa, we know how to read, and we probably shouldn't swim in this because we're literally swimming in poop water. You're swimming in poop water, Grandpa. It's not that's a myth. I cited a study from 1995 that it's not actually. There's a study that I cited that was condemned by the entire medical community because the procedure was totally unethical and unverified. That says that this creek is totally healthy. So there you go. It doesn't look like they're swimming in it. And yeah, I don't understand how people are still not. I don't understand how people are still tricked by this guy. It's unfreaking believable. He's the guy in charge of health, and he's swimming in poop water, literal poop water. And again, hey, I live by the water. All right. So there are times where there will be spills or whatever else where our water will be unsafe to swim. It takes a lot to reach that designation. It really does. Just so you know. Smash the like button, by the way. Smash it. Smash it. Smash that like button and leave a super chat, would you? Please do leave a super chat. I'll get to all your super chats after the show. And the reason I bring this story up, by the way, we have a little more on RFK. Let's go there before we get off this segment, Colin. Let's go to the clip calling for his resignation. Let's go to the Democracy Now! Piece real quick. And then let's go to the clip calling for his resignation. This is from Democracy Now! An outbreak of measles that began among unvaccinated people in Texas has grown to over 1,000 cases across 11 U.S. states. So far, 3 people have died of a vaccine-preventable disease, 2 children and an adult, with dozens more hospitalized. On Monday, Maryland Senator Angela Alsobrooks filed a no-confidence resolution calling on Health and Human Services Secretary RFK to resign, in part because of Kennedy's repeated false claims about the safety of vaccines. Also filed a resolution after leading a rally on Saturday of hundreds of protesters outside the National Institute of Health in Bethesda. So let's go ahead and watch that video. Let's watch that clip real quick here.
Hundreds of people have gathered outside the National Institute of Health in the US state of Maryland to protest cuts to healthcare and research. Demonstrators are calling for US Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to step down.
This raucous crowd brought signs and chants, upset with cuts to healthcare and its researchers.
Just last week, the administration released a budget proposing 40% cuts to the NIH. But we will not give up.
Outside the National Institutes of Health, current employees shared their story.
I am hiding my face and name to lower the risk of retaliation for myself and my colleagues.
This employee says she's already seen cuts in funding and the workforce that have affected this agency's research.
I do not even know the entire list of colleagues that I've lost.
She's responsible for this vigil that sits just outside NIH's front doors every weekend.
It just sends home the point that the cost of this is human lives.
She's hoping her message and those who support it brings change.
It's hard to come to work in the morning because every day there's some new thing that stands in the way of us doing what we're here to do. We are all here because we believe in the mission, because we want to help people.
I am sick of it. Sick of it.
Senator Angela Alsobrooks joined in the chorus of complaints and decided to take action against the Health and Human Services Secretary, Robert Kennedy Jr.
Right now, I'm announcing that as of this Monday, I will be filing a Senate resolution of disapproval, and I'm calling on Senate Secretary Kennedy to resign. We want him to go.
America's exceptionalism is based on our strength as a science powerhouse, and the cuts from at NIH and other places literally are making us sicker.
And employees say they won't stand for it.
When we can't do our jobs here at NIH, people suffer. Lives are lost, health is lost.
As for the weekly vigil, organizers say they will meet right here every Saturday at 11 a.m. until they say losses are restored.
Am I back? There we go. Now, why did I pick that particular clip of the speech? I'll admit it. I thought it was really funny when the guy said Maryland. I mean, that was kind of. And hey, look, I know I mispronounce things sometimes. I'm notorious for that. But I got a kick out of that. In an Australian accent, he called it Maryland. I just love that. I really did. So that's why I chose that segment for us to listen to the speech. But yeah, I feel very strongly that this guy is a eugenicist. He should step down. He should be forced out of the position. How can you say that you're standing up for health? Well, they're cutting services left and right. They're cutting funding for Medicaid. They're cutting funding for programs all over the place having to do with health and services. Meanwhile, we're seeing a measles outbreak. Meanwhile, this guy is just swimming in poop water. And nothing's being done about this. And yes, this guy is a eugenicist. You listen to him talk. You listen to him talk about how black people and white people should be getting different types of vaccines. How when he was repeating dangerous conspiracy theories around COVID-19 about how it spares certain Jewish people. This is eugenics. This is pseudoscience eugenics. And I think a lot of the time, he doesn't even realize what he's saying. He doesn't even realize what he's parroting. Because I think in many ways, and again, he did some great legal work back in the day. But clearly, he fell off the wagon a long frickin' time ago. A long frickin' time ago. Because this guy, when Bill Maher and Bill Burr were talking on Bill Maher's podcast, and Bill Burr skewers him. I recommend it, by the way. It's very entertaining. Bill Burr said something to Bill Maher where he said, Bill Burr saying this to Bill Maher, "You're not smart. You just know obscure things." And I think in a lot of ways, that's RFK. RFK is not that bright when it comes to a lot of things. He just has a lot of random obscure studies that he'll read and not understand, that he'll parrot and not completely understand. And then he just repeats a bunch of stuff. A lot of it is just straight up eugenics. It's eugenics. And he just repeats it uncritically. And people just accept it. And when you have somebody like that in such a position of power, that normalizes it. And that's what's happening in the contemporary United States. This is a fascist coup. That's what this is. And a lot of things, a lot of very, very ugly things have been normalized. Eugenics is among them. And I won't stand by. I will not be quiet. Yeah. So let's see. All right. Let's move on. That's enough on RFK. Let's go to the DNC. Let's go to the DNC. And then we're going to go to foreign policy for a bit. And then we're going to go to the streamers, which is the headlining story of the day. But we'll go to the DNC first. The DNC, man, the Democrats are doing everything they can to just continue to tick people off. Continuing to let people down, continuing to tick people off, continuing to not do anything to move their party forward because it might upset the apple cart that is their donor machine. And recently, David Hogg, who was a school shooting survivor and is now at the DNC. Now they're trying to remove him from the DNC. And why are they doing that? Well, we covered it on this show. He started an initiative to challenge corporate Democrats, basically. He wants to challenge corporate Democrats with new ideas and younger progressive candidates. And they didn't like that. They didn't like the idea that this guy is doing something about all the ridiculous things in the Democratic Party. So here's what they're trying to do. Let's go to the NBC piece to start. DNC panel recommends redo a vote that elevated David Hogg to vice chair after procedural concerns. So they want to redo the vote. Here's why. A DNC subcommittee on Monday recommended that the organization invalidate one of its February vice chair votes over claims that it unfairly disadvantaged female candidates. Okay. How? The move, which won't be official unless the entire DNC votes to approve it, could open up new races for the positions held by David Hogg, a Florida activist, and Malcolm Kenyatta, a Pennsylvania state legislator. The challenge by Oklahoma Democratic Committee woman Kaylin Free, who unsuccessfully ran against Hogg and Kenyatta in the February race for vice chair, is not related to the ongoing tension between Hogg and the National Party. Sure, it's not. Sure. Instead, it was based off Free's claim that the handling of the vice chair vote gave the two men an unfair advantage amid the National Party's requirements that its executive committee achieve gender balance. Nevertheless, the Monday evening vote by the DNC Credentials Committee sets up a high-profile decision for the National Party in the coming weeks. This is all happening as DNC Chairman Ken Martin has been separately pushing a reform that would require all party officers, including myself, to remain neutral in primaries. As Hogg has been signaling, he's planning to take sides. So they basically want to neuter this attempt. Like David Hogg is in a position, he's in a large position, he's in a position of a lot of visibility. He's saying the party needs to move forward. The party needs some new ideas, needs some new blood. So the DNC is trying to change the rules to basically neuter his ability to do that. So DNC rules require that the National Party's executive committee shall be as equally divided as along gender lines. It has to be equal along gender lines. As DNC members met earlier this year for the multi-hour process of voting a new slate of officers, the vote for the three vice chairs being the last position to be filled, it became clear that the party needed to elect at least one man to the final two vice chair spots to maintain the required gender equity on the 7-person executive committee. The party then decided to hold a single vote to decide the final two slots instead of holding separate votes for each position. Free claimed that the combined ballot unfairly benefited Hogg and Kenyatta, the only two men left in the race, because members had to vote for at least one man on the combined ballot. She argued it's possible they could have voted differently if the ballots were separated. Representatives for Hogg and Kenyatta disagreed with the challenge, arguing that the party was well within its discretionary right to make a move to shorten the lengthy voting process in real time. So she's saying that because of spots that they needed a man to fill, it disadvantaged her because she was running against them. So this is, who cares about policy? Who cares about ideas? Who cares about anything else? Let's just make sure we have an equal amount of men and women. It's unbelievable. And it's so sad. Here's what ticks me off the most. This is what really makes me mad. A lot of people are angry about identity politics, but I would argue that what you're really angry about is not identity politics by itself. What you're really angry at is the weaponization of identity politics for dishonest means. Because identity politics by itself just means that different groups are represented by members of that group. And it just means that different points of view and different backgrounds and different analyses are taken into account and are given a fair shake. And it also, look, sexism is very real. Racism is very real. Discrimination is very real. All those things are very real, and they're very serious problems. However, it's hijacked for dishonest means when you say, oh, you don't like Kamala Harris. Oh, surely it can't be because she has horrible foreign policy positions, or because she, has never seen a jail policy she didn't like, or because she has a horrible record in the state of California, or because she said she was for Medicare for all, then she wasn't again. Oh, it's because you're racist and sexist. Oh, you prefer Bernie over Hillary Clinton? That's because you're a sexist. Has nothing to do with policy. It's just, so you see the difference between what identity politics actually is, which the way I see it is not a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. And the way it is hijacked for dishonest means and hijacked for basically unethical purposes. You know, when you just say, "Oh, hey, we have this big crop of people supporting Wall Street. They're all supporting Wall Street, and we want no newcomers." But guess what? We have a diverse group of people supporting Wall Street. So, this is just more of that nonsense. And they're using it to try to get rid of David Hogg. And why are they doing that? Because he wants to challenge the Democratic establishment. He said he wanted to engage in primaries. I believe there was $20 million that was supposed to be put towards that effort, which isn't a lot when you think about it in the big scheme of things that is electoral politics. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. And they're all in favor of doing this, by the way. I think we have a little more on this, too. Let's go to the Politico piece real quick. Make sure we covered all the ground on this before we move on. DNC panel opens the door to removing David Hogg from his national post. DNC, they voted on Monday. The panel's move was based on a procedural complaint unrelated to... I love how they keep saying it's totally unrelated to the other stuff. Like this wasn't something that was coordinated. Like this wasn't a calculated move. Hogg and DNC Chair Ken Martin have been dueling over Hogg's plan. Most recently, Martin said Hogg should either sign a neutrality pledge or step down from his post. On Monday, the DNC Credentials Committee heard a complaint that alleged the body bungled its own rules when Hogg and Malcolm Kenyatta were elected as vice chairs in February. To move forward, the full national body would have to sign off on the resolution the committee approved. If it does, it would call for a new election for the two vice chair posts in question, and therefore would remove Hogg and Kenyatta from their posts. And who, I mean, how many boys and girls are allowed to apply for this new post? The DNC is the most ridiculous political institution. It's like, it really is a club. It's not, I mean, the fact that Democratic is in their name is irony beyond comprehension. Because it really is just a little club that makes up the rules as they go along. And they don't have the people on their side. The DNC establishment and the Democratic base are two completely different things. Why? Because we have a two-party system where both parties are owned by Wall Street. So a lot of people in the United States, they're Democrats, not because they really love what the Democratic Party's all about, but because, like, where else are they gonna go? And that sucks. That's a terrible system. And that's a system worth changing and worth fighting to change. Man. The DNC, so here's what Hogg had to say about it. The DNC has pledged to remove me, and this vote has provided an avenue to fast-track that effort. The Credentials Committee, as they stated, that they are remedying a procedural flaw, but doing so the way they did is a slap in my face. This is what Kenyatta had to say to it. This story is complex, and I'm frustrated. The challenge was brought about by Oklahoma DNC member Kaylin Free, who argued that the party violated its own rules and made it harder for a woman to be elected vice chair. Her complaint was filed well before Hogg promised to challenge fellow Democrats. The committee voted 13-2 on Monday evening after more than 3 hours of discussion. Oh, boy. What a time. What a time. So there's your resistance. There's a fascist coup going on in the country, and this is what the side that's supposed to be up against that electorally, at least, is supposed to be the opposition to all that. This is what they're up to. Tallying the boys and girls quota for committee positions, and they're trying to get rid of the guy that's saying, hey, maybe we should expand the party to people that don't vote with Republicans most of the time. Maybe we should do that. The Democratic Party is a wide tent unless you're to the left of Reagan. Then there's no room for you. To the right of Reagan, we got plenty of room for you. We got room for the Cheneys. We got room. Hey, we even got room for the Bushes. We got room. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. They don't have room. We have room for all kinds of neoliberal ideas that are just slightly slightly, at least on paper, less repulsive than our fascist opponents, our straight up fascist opponents that we lose to half the time. Half the time, we can't beat fascists because we're neoliberal. Neoliberalism leads to fascism 100% of the time, and vice versa. And those are our choices. The Democrats, by definition, are a neoliberal project. Not within the people, but within the structure, within the DNC establishment. It is a neoliberal project. And the Republicans are just straight up fascists. So you have a choice between neoliberalism or straight up fascism, and one constantly just volleys over to the other. And that's our system. That's our system. All right. Let's go to a couple updates here. We're gonna get into a little bit of foreign policy, or just a little bit of foreign news, rather. Then we're gonna get into the story with the story concerning Stephen Miller, and then we're gonna dovetail into what's going on with some streamers who traveled abroad recently. Because I think all of this is kind of connected. So we're going to start with a very brazen and blatant assault on journalism. Let's go to the BBC piece, Colin. And actually, before we go there, Colin, why don't we talk about what's going on with Status Coup membership? By the way, give it up for Colin. He is on the 1s and 2s, the 3s and 4s. He's on all kinds of numbers, that guy. And here he is. We got a special coming up with membership. There's been some amazing on-the-ground reporting going on here at Status Coup. Ashley's been hustling. We're actually going to be citing some of her coverage here shortly. And Colin, to you, my friend. I like your Captain America shirt, by the way.
Oh,
I have a Talking Heads t-shirt on. So we're both representing neat things.
Yeah, so as you said, there's a new perk now for members. So if you're a member already, you have this perk now. And if you're not a member, remember you can sign up at statuscoup.com/join. And in addition to this, you'll get other perks such as member exclusive videos. I just released one today, and Jordan's sending me another that I'll be releasing tomorrow. But yeah, now you guys get discounts on the statuscoup.com/store. At the $5 level, you get 8% off.
Nice.
$10 is 13. $20 is 18% off, and or the 179 years, the 18% off as well. We're currently working on the background on revamping the store, introducing new product to it as well. But we have a lot of cool stuff. But if you're a member here, so yeah, statuscoup.com/join.
Brilliant. Now, what we should have done is we should have had some Status Coup merch on today.
Yeah,
we done messed up. We
yeah,
done
that's a
messed
good
up.
point.
That was yeah. We're just both like, but guys, in case you didn't realize this, Captain America and Talking Heads t-shirts not sold in the Status Coup store. We'd get in trouble.
That's a good idea. That we should do a Captain America variant. That's the United Corporations of America. So he's
Parody.
got like a NASCAR outfit and stuff, you know.
Parody. Get on it, Colin. Get on it. Make it happen. Yeah. And you know what? I don't, maybe we can bring the Talking Heads into this somehow too. I could picture David Byrne being into what goes on here at Status Coup. I could picture David Byrne being a fan. Fingers crossed. Maybe he is. What if I get an email from David Byrne? Actually, I'm a longtime viewer. Oh man, would that make my day? Oh, that'd be so cool. I'm a big Talking Heads fan. I don't know if any of y'all are, but yeah, Talking Heads, great band. All right, let's go to some heavier news. That's really not great. It's the opposite of Talking Heads music. It is not good. It is very, very bad. Let's start with the Democracy Now! Piece here. So a journalist was recently murdered. A Gaza journalist, Hasan Asleh, was killed in an Israeli strike on a hospital. So, an Israeli airstrike on the emergency department of Nasser Hospital in southern Gaza has killed a well-known Palestinian photojournalist, medical sources and eyewitnesses say. Hasan Asleh, who was being treated for injuries from a previous Israeli strike, was targeted in what witnesses described as a drone attack on the hospital's surgical wing. So they targeted this journalist while the journalist was in a hospital. I mean, and here's something else. Now this is actually from Friday, but I want to share this with you. Let's go to the Democracy Now! Piece, Colin. This is what's going on. So they're targeting, the Israeli government is targeting journalists in hospitals, literally journalists in hospitals. What else are they targeting? Well, community kitchens. So I just want to read this to you. And I know like this is from Friday, but I wanted to share this. And, Tuesday's my day here at Status Coup. Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 16 Palestinians across the Gaza Strip over the past 24 hours. Among them, several attacks on apartment buildings in Gaza City that killed 3 people, including a child. Separately, a Palestinian fisherman was killed and another injured after Israeli naval forces opened fire on a boat off Gaza's coast. Israel's latest attacks came, as the Gaza government media office reported Israel has dropped 100,000 tons of explosives on the Gaza Strip, leaving some 62,000 Palestinians dead or missing under the rubble. Now, I want to read this quote. This is from a displaced Palestinian mother, and she doesn't know how she's going to feed her children because they keep bombing kitchens, community kitchens. Because keep in mind, that's how a lot of people are getting food if they're able. They're relying on community kitchens, which is, basically mutual aid. So here's this quote. Today is the last day. What will we eat? We will die of hunger for the sake of our children. We are still alive because of the communal kitchen. We don't cook or bake or do anything, only heating the food that we beg to take. If it weren't for the communal kitchen, we would have died. For the sake of our children, what shall we do? They said today is the last day. What shall we do? What should I feed them tomorrow? Imagine having to say that, or imagine hearing somebody you care about say that, not knowing how they're going to give their children food. It's just unbelievable what's going on. Well, it is believable, sadly, but it's repulsive beyond comprehension. And it is, like we've been saying, it is a genocide. And I think it goes even further than that because they are literally trying to extinguish the Palestinian people from the land entirely. That is what the Israeli government is trying to do. And Trump is fine with it. This whole Trump's going to be better for foreign policy. Nope. Trump's fine with it. Trump is planning on making vacation properties in Gaza and making resorts out of Gaza. That's what he's planning to do. Oh, and guess who else is fine with it? RFK. The guy that some of you were defending in the chat. That guy. RFK's take on all this is that Palestinians are the most pampered people in the world. They're so pampered as their community kitchens are being bombed. And those pampered moms are wondering what they're going to feed their children because they have no food. So pampered. Or a journalist who put their neck on the line to do journalism. And they got, there was a drone strike executing them in a hospital. So pampered. Our leadership is beyond disgusting. And by the way, Biden's not immune from any of this. Biden oversaw this genocide. He was fine with it. And Kamala Harris didn't do anything to distance herself from it. Had she done that, there's a chance she might be president right now. I think she probably still would have lost, but, we don't know for sure. All right. So let's dovetail into who's really in charge here? Let's go to the Stephen Miller thing. Let's start with that. And then from there, we're going to go into what's going on with some of the streamers. Let's start with the Mediaite piece, and then we're going to watch this, and then we're going to watch the recent video of him. So a bombshell report alleges that Stephen Miller is running the show at the DOJ, while Pam Bondi is playing the part like an actor. And her name's kind of like James Bond, a famous character. Isn't that interesting? So a bombshell report from the New York Times suggests that despite her title, Attorney General Pam Bondi is hardly running the show at the Department of Justice. According to the Times, Bondi sees her role as that of a surrogate, a faithful executor and high-volume messenger, compelled to cede ground to empower players in the West Wing. The decisions are being made at the White House, and then they're being pushed down to the Department of Justice, which is very, very atypical. So this almost reminds me of during the Bush administration when Dick Cheney was just making every single decision, and people were just doing what he told them. Which is not typical for a vice president, but that was just how they were doing things. So the Times story emphasized the influence wielded by White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, whom it identified as helping set the agenda for Bondi's department. It was clear from the start that Mr. Miller, who is not a lawyer, would exercise control inside the department, current and former Trump aide said. Observed the gray lady. Miss Bondi has been consulted on key decisions, including how to respond to a federal judge's order to return immigrants deported to El Salvador with no due process. She does not appear to have played a major role in creating overall strategies, focusing on aligning her department with the game plan and framing attacks on opponents, current and former officials said. Okay, so basically, this guy, Stephen Miller, is calling the shots. And, well, what's going on here? What's going on with that guy? Here's something he had to say recently that I want to share with you. Let's go to that clip of Stephen Miller, Colin. Just want to play this for everybody.
Give me 1 sec. I think I'm missing that.
No worries. I will mention to everybody that they should become a Status Coup member. Leave a super chat. We're going to get to the chat really, really soon, y'all. And if you can, please go to statuscoup.com/join. You get discounts on merchandise now. You get members calls, and you support on-the-ground journalism. Ashley's been doing some amazing coverage on the ground. So has Johnny F. He's been on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. We covered some Gaza news today. Status Coup has covered over 100 Palestinian protests throughout the country. So we're really keeping our ear to the ground on that beat. We're bringing you journalism that no one else is doing. So please, I know times are tough, but if you're able, go to statuscoup.com/join. There's $5 a month and $10 a month levels. That's more, that's just like a cup of coffee or two a month, It's literally just a cup of coffee or two if you live in Los Angeles like I do. But, and I know times are tough. If you can't swing it right now, totally get it. Please like these streams, share these streams, tell your friends, make sure you're subscribed. They unsubscribe people all the time. Make sure you're subscribed, click the bell so you get the notification, et cetera, et cetera. Those are all things that you can do that don't cost anything, but still really help us here at Status Coup. Also, while Colin is teeing up that video, I'll take a moment to mention I do have some tour dates coming up. May 23rd, I will be in Seattle.
Well, the Constitution is clear, and that, of course, is the supreme law of the land, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So I would say that's an option we're actively looking at. Look, a lot of it depends on whether the courts do the right thing or not. At the end of the day, Congress passed a body of law known as the Immigration and Nationality Act, which stripped Article 3 courts, that's the judicial branch, of jurisdiction over immigration cases. So Congress actually passed, it's called jurisdiction stripping legislation. It passed a number of laws that say that the Article 3 courts aren't even allowed to be involved in immigration cases. Many of you probably don't know this. I'll give you a good example. Are you familiar with the term temporary protected status, or TPS, right? So by statute, the courts are stripped of jurisdiction from overruling a presidential determination or a secretarial determination on TPS when the Secretary of Homeland Security makes that determination. So when Secretary Noem terminated TPS for the illegals that Biden flew into the country, when courts stepped in, they were violating explicit language that Congress had enacted, saying they have no jurisdiction. So it's not just the courts aren't just at war with the executive branch, the courts are at war, these radical rogue judges, with the legislative branch as well, too. So all of that will inform the choices the president ultimately makes.
So he wants to suspend habeas corpus, which basically if you are ever detained as an American citizen, you have the right to, one, know why, and there has to be due process. That's what habeas corpus is. And they want to suspend it. There is no invasion, and they want to suspend it. So this is the authoritarian road we are on right now as a country. And we've been going down this way for a long time. And boy, is it really amplified. Also, side note, Colin, I'll bring you into this. How old do you think Stephen Miller is? How old do you think he is? You can put a picture of him up if you want.
Based on that clip, I would say like 48, 55.
48, 55?
Somewhere in that range.
I'll give you one more guess.
If he's older, I would say 60 at the highest.
You went older.
Yeah.
He's 39.
Oh.
Dude is 39 years old. I mean, yeah, like that.
That's only 6 years older than me. I don't like that.
Dude, I mean, that is a rough 39 because being an authoritarian hate monger, it ages you. I mean, it's got to age you. Clearly. I mean, this is a guy who maybe deep down knows what he's doing and is feeling the frickin' burn for it. All right. So Stephen Miller. So this is the authoritarian tinge our country is going on, which brings us to some interesting things happening with streamers who have left the country recently. And you probably heard about this already, especially if you pay a lot of attention to the YouTube space. But Hasan Piker had an interesting confrontation when he was coming back to the United States. Let's start with the Hasan Piker clip, Colin, and then we'll go to the clip from a TikToker, which is a report that Ashley over at Status Coup did.
He knew exactly who the I was, but he was basically like, he always made it seem as though he was asking certain things that after discovering in the process of that conversation, he would ask additional questions. So he kept saying, "What do you do as a job? Do you talk about the news?" And I was like, "Yeah, I talk about the news." And he kept saying, "Okay, so when you talk about the news, do you talk about the war?" And I was like, "What do you mean by that?" He's like, "Do you talk about Trump?" And that was the first time where I was like, what the fuck is this question? Like, I literally straight up told him, I was like, why are you asking me this? Like, I was like, what does this have to do with anything? Yeah, they asked me about my fucking Twitch bans, chat. It's not even a joke. They asked me about fucking Twitch chat, like Twitch bans. The reason for why they're doing that is, I think, to try to create an environment of fear, to try to get people like myself, or at least like others that would be in my shoes that don't have that same level of security, to shut the fuck up. And for me, I'm going to use the privilege that I have in that moment to try and see what the fuck they're doing. One thing that I will take note of that I thought was very interesting was the fact that a lot of the shit that like the Ethan Kleins of the world have like cried about over and over again were unironically brought up in that fucking conversation. I was shocked. Okay, not like the bleach sword, obviously, but like the Houthi. Like, did you interview a Houthi? It says here that you interviewed a Houthi. And I was like, or was he actually a Houthi? And I was like, he's not. You can look to all of the reporting that came up afterwards and before I interviewed him that he is not a Houthi, that he is a regular Yemeni citizen. And I said, like, his name is Rashid al-Haddad. He is not even a Shia. And the dude, luckily, again, Iraqi, went, so, oh, yeah, that's right.
A lot of detail. They really went into a lot of detail on Hasan Piker's content. And I'll let you guys know, I'm not familiar with the content he's referencing. So I can't speak to the content itself. The point of this is that he was coming back into the United States. They detained him because of his Twitch stream, and they had these pretty in-depth questions like about his freaking content. And that is disturbing. Some of you guys are giving your opinions on Hasan one way or another. Some of you like him, some of you don't. It doesn't really matter for the purposes of this. How you feel about Hasan one way or the other is completely irrelevant. What's relevant here is the fact that they are detaining journalists. They are confronting journalists coming back into the country. They've detained regular citizens too, for various reasons, suspecting that they're not actually American citizens. A lot of people, especially people who are on visas and stuff like that, they've been told not to leave the country right now. So this is a very, very chilling precedent, and this is straight up fascism. That's what this is. So let's go to Ashley's report. We have some segments now. For those of you who have not watched the full video, please do watch the full video on this. We're just going to watch some segments. This is a TikToker who had a similar experience to what Hasan Piker had.
I did a video a couple days ago talking about how I got detained as a United States citizen born and raised, and I'm just going to go over everything, give you guys the entire story and all the details. I was coming back from Spain. I was in Spain for about a month or so. I had a layover in Berlin, Germany for around 2 hours, and then I came into the United States. Here's my global entry card, because a lot of you guys don't believe that I did have global entry. Yes, I do have global entry, and this still happens to me. I still got detained. I went through the global entry line, they scanned my eyes, and I continued walking. It had the green check mark, and then an officer told me I needed to go to the right. So I go to the right, I get asked questions by another officer. He asked me where I'm coming from and what I did for work. I answered TikTok, as I do have other accounts that I am very social on that have thousands of followers. Then he asked me to step into this box looking thing. It's about, 3 sides, and then he told me another officer will come and grab me. That officer then took me to a room, which I did insert a photo of, and I will give you guys again here. Which this is the first room I was taken to. So that is the original first room. There was people of all skin colors. I know a lot of people think I was the only minority. And that's where I was asked my father's citizenship status. My father is an American citizen. He has been for the last 25 years before I was born. I did not have the answers to any of those questions because I would not know. From there, they told me to sit back down, and then they transferred me to another room. That other room, the officer asked me what I did for work, exactly why I was traveling. I said the same thing. I did TikTok, and that's why I was traveling, and I wanted to stay there for longer. From that point, I normally saw people either leave after the first room or the second room. They were just good to go. For some reason, they had me go. Now, another officer was escorting me down to the escalators past Border Patrol. From there is this baggage claim area. There was an officer standing in front of this baggage claim. Keep in mind, this is all blocked off. And then there's another officer on the other side. When I was there, my baggage already had been taken for some odd reason. So he told me to continue walking. Then there's rooms, and that's where they asked me to provide my social media accounts for them to go through my TikTok, my Snapchat, my Instagram, my Facebook. As well as show them how much I was making daily on TikTok and show them the deposits that were being made on TikTok. And again, why I was traveling. It's the same questions all over again. From that point on, if you keep walking, they make you keep walking, and that is where they will go through your luggage. They dumped out all my things on the counter, and they were asking me if I was the only person that had packed my bags. Of course, I said yes. But it was the worst search I've ever seen in my entire life. They dumped everything out. They didn't open anything. I had pill bottles that were, in colored containers because that's how my medication came. They didn't even open them. So I don't understand what they even searched. And then again, I was asked the same questions about what I do for work, why I was traveling, for how long I was traveling, and then more again about my father. Keep in mind where they searched all my stuff after the room is this pentagon, octagon looking thing, basically underneath the Miami airport, where there's around 40 officers that are just on their phones doing I don't even know what. And so that's how that setup looked. It's extremely scary. Keep in mind, I am the only person I see. There is nobody coming down the escalators with me. There is nobody by the baggage claim. And it's a fake baggage claim because there's officers all around it. And there was also nobody else held where I was at. From that point, after taking my phone, my passport, all my bags, they had asked me when, where, and why if I had any trips planned, and when, where, and why, and for how long. I had no clue. I still don't have a clue. I do not plan to leave the US yet. So I answered no, and he proceeded to literally scream in my face 4 times, and I told him no every single time. After about 2.5 hours to 3 hours, and during this entire thing, I was finally let go after telling them no, that I had no plans to leave the United States. I was again handed to around 5 different officers, I'm not sure if I made that clear, and put in around 3 to 4 different rooms. I believe 4. My parents just came back from Mexico, and nothing happened to them. They were completely fine. They went through. They also have global entry. No questions asked at all. And they came in through the Phoenix airport. This happened in the Miami airport. I also want to let you guys know that I am very political on my accounts. I literally have a clothing brand called Trump for the Dump, making meme shirts of Trump, and then it's a nonprofit, so we donate to organizations that he's defunding. I also want to say that I post on my Instagram stories and my TikTok a lot of things, anti-Trump and anti-MAGA, whatever you want to call it. So that is a red flag for them. So yeah, my Instagram wasn't completely clean. They didn't do anything about it. They kind of just took my phone and searched through everything. I don't really know what they were looking for. I don't have more answers. I complied with every single thing that they asked. I didn't give them a hard time about anything because I'm more scared than anything.
Wow. Wow. Asking her about her parents' immigration status. I mean, this is happening, y'all. I mean, this is happening in real time. And by the way, this isn't just a few isolated incidents. This is happening a bunch. It's happening to different people. It's happening to American citizens. It's happening to streamers. And here's something. Let's go to the David Pakman summary. So David Pakman is another YouTube personality. I'm sure you're familiar with him. And he became an American citizen, I believe, as a teenager. He's a naturalized citizen, and he was advised against leaving the country. And he published this video a little bit ago. Let's go ahead and watch the segment of that you
I'm a
had up, Colin.
naturalized U.S. citizen. Many people maybe don't know that. I've been a citizen of the United States since I was, I think, 16 or so years old. So went through the entire process legally. My family moved to the United States legally, obtained permanent residency. Ultimately, my parents got citizenship as an under 18 son of naturalized citizens. I was able to get citizenship by going to the post office and filling out a passport application. And then that was decades ago. And here I am in 2025 being told that even with my citizenship, it might be risky to travel internationally under this second Trump administration because of what might happen when I get back. Now, I'm not going to pretend, I might be deported. They're going to rip up my passport. It's not about that. But the idea is that coming back might be unpredictably uncomfortable or uncomfortably unpredictable, because we've already seen reports of U.S. citizens detained at the border. And what immigration attorneys are telling me, the ones that are paying attention, is that naturalized citizens, people like me, in Trump's second term, with the return of these Stephen Miller style policies, we just need to be careful.
Wow. So that's, yeah. I mean, that's pretty chilling that attorneys are advising people. Like chances are he had some immigration attorney who said, hey, you're in the public spotlight. You talk about news and politics. Don't leave the country right now if you can avoid it. This is chilling stuff. This is really chilling stuff. And, I don't watch any, so I can't really speak to any content here. I have not paid attention to David Pakman in many, many years. I cannot really speak to much of his content. I've had very little exposure, but what little exposure I've had, I wouldn't describe him as some like big radical lefty or anything like that. Like I think the dude is pretty like centrist. And when I say centrist, I mean centrist by United States standards. Again, I don't watch the show, so I can't, but like I can't speak to everything. But again, what little exposure I've had, my point in mentioning that is that if this is somebody who is still facing some amount of danger just because he's not a Trump fan, this is disturbing. I mean, basically anything that is anything that's critical of Trump. Anything that's critical of Trump is not okay right now. And you got to be careful while you're traveling. Wow. So let's go to the chat here. We'll go to the super chat. And guys, before we go there, Colin's getting them ready on the tee. Please do leave a super chat, by the way. We're going to get to it. We'll get to all your super chats. Hope you like my Talking Heads t-shirt. And I have some tour dates coming up, y'all. May 23rd, I will be in Seattle, Washington. And also on... in June, I will be doing the Hollywood Fringe Festival. I have a new play called Termination Fee. It is a stage play that is a scathing commentary on the American healthcare system. Tickets for that are pay what you can. And you can get tickets at romplacone.com. For any of those shows, whether it's the Termination Fee shows in Los Angeles, which is going on throughout June 8th, June 16th, June 21st, June 24th, June 29th. Times vary, so there's got to be something that works with your schedule. You can get tickets at romplacone.com. And May 23rd, Seattle, Washington. That's a stand-up show. Can't wait to see you, Seattle. If you want to attend any of those shows and funds are tight, email me and we'll figure something out. Just email me. Just be like, hey, funds are tight, but I really want to go. We'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. We'll get it together because I can't wait to see you, Seattle and Los Angeles. Grab your tickets now. And for everyone who is not in Los Angeles or Seattle, or even if you are, my movie Left at Wall is out now. You guys know I made a movie, Left at Wall. It is it's a movie that breaks down the Wall Street machine. It satirizes the Wall Street machine with the backdrop of the GameStop incident that happened in 2021. So it's kind of, it nods to that. It's not based on it, but it kind of nods to it. So you can watch that movie. And with everything that's going on right now, especially with the tariffs, this is all because of the Wall Street machine and the way the Wall Street machine works. So if you're curious, you're like, man, I want to take a deeper dive into all that. Do so with my movie, Left at Wall. It's a fun way to do it in a quirky indie comedy that's also a fun story about family. You can rent my movie right here on YouTube. You can literally get it right here on YouTube. You don't even have to leave YouTube, but you can also get it on Apple TV. You can get it on Google Play. You can get it on Xbox. You can buy it on DVD if you're a physical media person. You can get it on Amazon. I mean, it's on Amazon because, it's got to be. But yeah, there's all kinds of places you can get it. So please check it out, Left at Wall. And if you're not sure which platform you want to get it from, you can see the entire list on my website, romplacone.com. There's a Left at Wall tab that lists all the places you can see Left at Wall. So again, romplacone.com for tour dates, Left at Wall info. Please do check it out. I really want you all to see my movie. All right, Colin, let's do it. Let's do the chat. Let's chat it up. Throw them my way. What's up, Teresa? How are you? It's a Shiba dog shaking his hips saying thank you. Thank you, Shiba dog. And thank you, Teresa. Always good to hear from you. Hope you're doing very, very well. CB, what's up? Fly Chomper Fly. Unsure Hogg, who said Pelosi is good guy, huh? Yeah. Did he say that? I mean, I've never heard him say that. I mean, if you said he did, I'm sure he did. Which, by the way, shout out to CB. She sent me a lot of stories for today, some of which I did use. So thank you for helping me curate today, CB. And I mean, I don't think I don't know everything there is to know about David Hogg. I don't think he's some electoral savior or anything like that. But I do think he clearly said he wanted to primary some people. And the Democratic establishment didn't like that. And, he was motivating some people to kind of take the Democratic Party in a different direction. That's at least better than what we got now. And you see how the Democrats are responding. They're trying to get rid of him, which shows you just how ridiculous they are. Like, here's a guy who is still complimenting Pelosi, isn't really pushing that hard, but he's just pushing a little bit. He's pushing a little bit, and he's got a position of power, and he's pushing a little bit. So even that, too much. Let's get rid of this guy. And we swear this has nothing to do. Yeah, good story. What's up, Chris? How are you, my friend? And thank you for being a member for 46 months, by the way. Tuesdays with Ron Placone hosting Status Coup brings something to look forward to early in the week. Aw, thank you so much. Also looking forward to Friday Fun Days, Ron. Thank you so much for that, Chris Garrett. I appreciate that so much. It's been awesome seeing you guys. I used to see you guys pretty regularly, and then things kind of change and get situated and blah blah blah. So I've not been here as frequent, but I'm filling in for Jordan when he's on paternity leave. And I hope to become more of a permanent fixture even when he gets back. Don't have anything to announce there yet, but some things are being worked on behind the scenes. Let's put it that way. And thank you very much for that, Chris. I appreciate that very much. And it's been wonderful to be here on Tuesdays for y'all. What's up, Dave? How are you, man? On a positive note, thank you for that. We need some positive notes. Corbyn has bipartisan support for an inquest into Gaza that has Starmer scared. Foreign Secretary Lammy is already jumping ship. Thank you for sharing that information, Dave. Very, very much appreciated. And I think the new Pope has called for a ceasefire. So, I mean, hey, we got to take anything we can get here. I mean, anything that's just pushing to end this conflict is, and calling it a conflict is actually not great. Ending this genocide, because that's what it is. Conflict is way too gentle. I shouldn't use those words. But yeah. So thank you for that, Dave. Thank you very much for sharing that. Colin, what else do we got?
That's all of them. Let me just.
Colin, you're muted.
Not this
Tell people
again.
about the deal again, Colin. Captain America style. Oh, hold on. There's the thing.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the deal again, by the way, if you go to statuscoup.com/join, or if you're already a member, you have access to this benefit where you get discount on our merch at 8, 13, and 18%, depending on the level.
Was that video supposed to have sound, Colin? Because I don't think it did.
No, it did not. Were you able to hear me over it or no?
No. Were you talking over it?
I wasn't sure if you could or not. It's the downside of that. But as the video showed, you just go to the website, log in, and then you highlight the member tab. And at the very bottom will be your discount. And then you just copy and paste that code when you go to checkout. There'll be audio later. I was hoping it wouldn't mute us, but that's all right.
I think people could see it. They could follow along. Yeah, they got it.
Yeah, and that's let me double check, make sure no super chats. So that's everything for today.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Again, Seattle, May 23rd, Hollywood Fringe in Los Angeles throughout June, ronplacone.com for tickets and all information. And of course, my movie Left at Wall. Check it out. You can rent it right here on YouTube. Just type in Left at Wall, it comes up. Or you can watch it on Apple TV. You can watch it on Google Play. You can watch it on Xbox. You can watch it on Hoopla. You can watch it on demand. You can watch it on Amazon. Blah, 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 blah. You get it. You can go to my website if you're not sure the best platform for you. But please do check it out. Thank you so much for being here. I'll be back next Tuesday. And I can't wait to see you. I've really been enjoying spending Tuesdays with you all. So I will see you next Tuesday, if not before. And this has been Status Coup. It is Tuesday, May 13th. 2025. Take care of each other. Look out for each other. We are all we have, because what a wild freaking time. Thanks for being here. See you next time. This is Ron Placone on behalf of Status Coup, signing out.